What is up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. This is Dr. J here, and I just wanted to go over something new today that we have not talked about before. That is barefoot shoes. So I went ahead and I bought two of the most popular barefoot shoes that I saw on Amazon. Yeah, full disclosure, I know these are not going to be the highest quality barefoot shoes. They were each about $30 to $40, but I have never owned a pair of barefoot shoes, so I thought it's the perfect way to try them out. I'll be trying both of these on today and testing them out, comparing them to some of the other shoes that I've reviewed in the past, and we'll see if barefoot shoes live up to the hype. So the first thing I want to touch on with barefoot shoes is the design. So obviously they call this a zero drop shoe, which means there's minimal height to the sole of the shoe, and it is meant to feel like you are walking directly against the ground. Obviously the issue with going completely barefoot is that you could step on something and hurt your feet. So this is the perfect way to still have a shoe on, but get that barefoot feel. So barefoot shoes are not new. I've noticed these in gyms and other places for about, I'd say, the last 10 years. I'm sure they've existed much longer than that, but that's how long I've noticed them. And I used to think ones that looked more like this one were a little silly. Yeah, like they look more like outdoor shoes. They almost look like socks. I still find that these look a little funny compared to a more casual barefoot shoe like this one here. If I ever wore barefoot shoes, I'd probably stick to one like this instead of like this. But I wanted to get two different types to really get more of a full feel. So like I said before, I'm sure there are higher quality shoes out there and that these were only $30 to $40 each, but I just wanted to get an entry-level shoe just like most of you. I wouldn't necessarily go straight in and get a $200 pair. It's probably good to start out with a cheaper one and see if they're for you. So again, the purpose of this shoe is that there's that zero drop and it feels like you're walking directly on the ground. And another major factor to these is that they have a very wide toe box. Both of these have a very wide toe box, and that's supposed to allow your toes to spread out and splay, and it's supposed to actually allow you to work your intrinsic muscles in your foot. The argument for barefoot shoes is that we've essentially been wearing shoes like the New Balances I have on right now, and I've done a video reviewing in the past. Most shoes are too narrow for our feet and too elevated, so we never get to work the intrinsic muscles of our feet that we were designed and created to. So the purpose of these barefoot shoes is to finally get to use those muscles and put our feet to the natural test. Now, is all of that true? Does that practically work out? That's what I'm trying to determine today by wearing these. There are some people who try barefoot shoes on and have pain instantly, and I think it's well known throughout the internet now that you have to transition slowly into a barefoot shoe because we've had these more traditional shoes on our whole lives. Our feet seem to adjust to that. We generally just use a few of the muscles in our feet with a traditional shoe compared to a barefoot shoe. Some people get pain in the heel from the lack of cushion, or they find that it's very painful to actually use all those muscles. They get very sore in their feet from walking without cushion and from using those intrinsic muscles of the foot. Other people can get Achilles pain with the barefoot shoes because of that zero drop. The back of your foot is lower to the ground, so that's stretching out your Achilles and you could get some Achilles pain. So if you're someone who already has Achilles tendonitis or another Achilles problem, I would probably avoid the barefoot shoes. So anyway, I do find these really intriguing. I do wonder, looking back as a kid, if I wore these growing up and we all sort of wore these barefoot shoes growing up, how different our feet would look now with more maybe splayed toes and less foot problems, or would we have more foot problems? That's what I'm trying to take a look at today. So as a foot doctor, these shoes sort of go against everything that we learn in school. We learn that there should be a supportive arch, that you want some cushion. Some people want more rigid shoes, but we don't really learn about barefoot shoes. So in that way, some of the learning is a little bit backwards. And that's why I want to look into it so that I can see if these are something I would recommend to my patients and you guys. Originally, I just saw barefoot shoes on some people in the gym, and I thought it was honestly a little weird looking. I was wondering what's going on. And now I'm realizing that some people are swearing by the benefits of barefoot shoes and what it could do for your everyday walks and workouts. The last thing I want to touch on with these shoes is grounding. So some people swear by grounding, which is your connection directly with the earth when you are barefoot. Apparently, some of these barefoot shoes give you the ability to still ground with the earth, and there are some health benefits that have been studied. I'm not going to talk about in this video what exactly is supported and what is not, but it's interesting to know that some of these shoes will advertise that they allow you to still ground with the earth while you wear them as opposed to a traditional shoe. So let's try them on and see what all the hype is about. All right, well, that was really interesting. The first thing I noticed was it actually did feel like I was barefoot, especially in this pair. The last time I had that feeling where your feet are right on the ground when you're running was probably when I was a kid. When it's more normal to just run around barefoot with your friends and family. It felt really, really, really good. But about 10 to 20 minutes into the testing, I already started to notice some knee pain, some heel pain, and some forefoot pain. So they're all the pains I honestly expected to feel, because like I said, there's a break-in period when you use barefoot shoes. You can't just go right into it and just start working out like I just did. It's not really the best idea. I would start out with just plain simple walking and do that for, 5 to 10 minutes a day, then slowly increase and then slowly make your way toward, doing some squats and working out. It should all be a very, very slow process over the course of months. Don't just try these on like I just did and just start sprinting. I did that for you guys just to entertain you and show you the tests right away, but I would not recommend that if you actually want to wear barefoot shoes or experience the benefits of barefoot shoes. Some things I noticed with both pairs, I definitely got that extra room in the toe box that allowed my toes to spread out. They didn't feel crunched up, of course. I definitely felt the flexibility of both of these shoes. They're obviously both very, very flexible. You can crunch them into nothing. You can't do that with traditional shoes, so that was really nice. They really provided that feeling of being right against the earth or the ground. So that was great. Now again, it takes a lot of time to develop these intrinsic muscles of the foot. I'll show you on my bone model here. Here are all of your toes, and essentially in between each of the toes, there are some intrinsic muscles, like I said, that are responsible for the splaying of the toes, the contracting, and we don't really use those because, like I said, we're kind of in a brace, which is the typical shoe nowadays. The great arch support, they kind of keep your foot in a pretty fixed position. They don't really allow those muscles to do their job. So over time, our muscles have kind of weakened as we wear these more traditional shoes. So I won't act like my very first time wearing these barefoot shoes, like I suddenly had all this control over my feet. That is something that will come with time and training your shoe, training those muscles in these shoes over the course of a few months. So don't expect an instant result and instantly like you have more control when you're wearing these shoes. It's not going to happen right away. Something else I want to hit on when we're talking about the arch height or the stack height of these shoes compared to these, like I said, there's essentially none on the barefoot shoes. So your arch can pretty much collapse. When the arch of your foot collapses and becomes straight and flat-footed, your ankle sort of turns inward, which puts stress on the ligaments on the inside or the medial side of your ankle. So doing some acrobatics to show you the inside of my ankle, but you might feel pain there. I did feel some pain on that same side of my knee because remember, this whole thing is a system. The fancy term for it is the kinetic chain, and everything is connected. So that whole medial side of the leg, you might feel some pain. You might feel some pain if you have my foot type when you wear these shoes, where your arch can just collapse in a barefoot shoe. It puts stress on these ligaments because they're turning inward. Same with the knee on that side. And you can create some jamming in the knee, which is why I got some knee pain. Now, with all that said, I do think barefoot shoes have a place in the shoe world and in the foot health world. I still think there's a great benefit to barefoot shoes, but when used correctly. I don't think someone should just wear barefoot shoes all the time. I think depending on the situation, it can work out for you. And it's really important to transition into a barefoot shoe. I also don't think wearing a shoe like this 100% of the time is beneficial either. I think you can wear a supportive shoe and mix in a barefoot shoe. You can work out those intrinsic muscles like we were always meant to. If you have a long day on your feet, I'd obviously recommend a shoe that I reviewed like the Hoka or the Asics or the New Balance. I would wear shoes like that with nice arch support if you're going to be spending 10 to 12 hours a day. If you're someone who works these long shifts, I wouldn't try these barefoot shoes. But if you want to throw them in for a workout here and there, maybe you can work on your balance or foot strength or other strengths when you're squatting. Maybe this will help you, maybe this will hurt you. Either way, I do think it's worth it to try out and see if they're right for you. And again, I wouldn't just shy away from these shoes just because they cause you one of those pains I spoke about earlier. When you start to feel a pain from wearing these shoes, whether you're working out or walking, just switch back into your normal shoes. And you could try it again once the pain goes away in a day or two. Slowly transitioning like this and switching up your shoe gear when you start to have pain is very important. You can really work to increasing your time with these shoes until you can fully transition into a barefoot shoe for a workout. I do think there are a lot of benefits to mixing it in, and I think you should try it. Another thing I noticed when I was running is how much pressure I had been putting on my heels and the balls of my feet when I'm running. It really sounds like you're stamping down when you start to run in these. You have to use more muscles in your feet to essentially get that roll that you would get with a normal rocker bottom shoe like this or like the Hokas. Absolutely made me more aware of how much pressure and how much force I was putting down on my heel and on the balls of my feet. You know, I can't really directly compare these to Max Cushion shoes like I've been reviewing in the past, but in terms of comfort, these actually did feel really good. I would give them 7 out of 10, which is not bad considering there's not much here designed for comfort besides the cushion here in the upper. That being said, this did feel like a nice sock, so that's why I give it a 7 out of 10. In terms of flexibility, these get a 10 out of 10. I've never seen a more flexible shoe, so that's where these Barefoot shoes absolutely win over any of the other shoes I've reviewed. In terms of looks, these over here get a 6 out of 10. I'd give these an 8 out of 10. These kind of look like a nice, casual dress shoe. These, I'm really questioning whether I'd ever wear these outside of a workout where no one's watching or a hike outside. But I would definitely wear these. I don't think anyone would really notice they're a Barefoot shoe other than that they're just a little wide in the front. So I think these do a great job disguising as a regular shoe while having that Barefoot shoe structure. So these are absolutely worth a try, especially in the price range of $30 to $40. Like I said, if you're feeling it and you want the highest quality, there are some other brands that are closer to $180 to $200 that you can try out, but why not try it out with something affordable like these from Amazon? I think they worked great. I'll put the Amazon links down below so you guys can purchase a pair if you'd like to. So that's all for today. Tell me what you guys think about Barefoot shoes and if you would try them, and I hope you enjoyed today's review.